Hi, this is Charlie at My Messy Fingers. We are on the final signature for our Ciao Bella album, Farmhouse Gardens. And I've kind of got it laid out here. We're going to do a double waterfall. I've got all my pieces cut. I think I've got everything all taped up. So these two top pieces came from my scraps, and I just cut them in a pleasing array, how I wanted them to look. And then I fussy cut out two of the butterflies from the 6x6 pack. You are going to need, well, let's just start here. Let's just pull these off to the side. Your base piece, which at this point can be anything you choose because we are at the end of the album. And my measurement on this is 8 1/4 by 8. I do want to make you aware that when you are cutting and trimming, that you do not go into either of the gussets at each end. So this piece, when you cut it, it should just fit in there just so. Now, what I've done is I've kind of pre-staged these. They're going to start from left to right about 1/2 inch in from the left-hand side. And these all are cut 3 1/2 by 5 1/2 with a 1/2 inch score line. So 3 1/2 by 5 1/2, score at 1/2 inch. You will need 10 of these. So if you want to go ahead and halt the video and get those 10 made, I am going to go ahead and start attaching things. And you can catch up when you can. So I'm just going to kind of pull these off to the side and then give a good eyeball here because, like I said, I want to start about 1/2 inch from 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch from this side, and then I want equal distance top and bottom. So I'm looking at about 1/4 of an inch top and bottom, which gives me about 3/8 of an inch in between each set. So I am going to start this way. So I'm turning my paper. I'm going to start it this way because it's easier for me to line things up. So I'm going to come down about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to come in about 1/2 an inch, give or take. And I will measure and see where I'm at. Yeah, I'm right at 1/2 an inch. Okay. And I'm at about 3/8 of an inch. Now, before I go and commit that, I want to make sure that I am going to be okay. So if I go 3/8 of an inch here, I've got about 1/4 inch gap in between. So I'm okay with that. Now I'm just going to come right up to the end of that cardstock. I'm going to lay this down to make sure that my pieces are tracking true to each other. And without having to lift them, I'm going to rescore to create a new seam there a little bit. doing? Doing okay. And I know all you skilled crafters, you can do a waterfall in your sleep, I bet. Okay. So how did I do? I did really well. I'm amazed. All right, so let's go ahead and get this one here laid. Come in about a 1/2 inch. Slide that right in there. I don't want a gap, because if there's a gap, that's where you start to see uneven edges. There, it's going sliding one way or another. So you want this just as tight as it can be. Last one. Okay. I'm just going to kind of bend this a little bit to encourage those to lay down flat. All right, so I have 2 pieces for the straps that measure 4 and 3/16. You could probably cut it down to 4 1/8 by 1 1/2. You'll need 2 of those. You're going to score at 1/2 and you're going to score at 5/8 on both of them. We're going to go ahead and get these taped in, because then we're going to work on setting the magnets. Now, with your 2 score lines, I am pushing forward on the 1/2 inch score line so that I can set these. You know what never fails? I go to turn these over and they slide. Okay. Now, you're going to push back against that 5/8 score line to reinforce the little gusset edge, and then we'll place the magnet. Push back, reinforce that score line. Now I'm going to take my magnets, separate them here. They had them separated and then they decided to stick together. I don't want them that way. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to come right in here on the edge. I hope I'm giving myself enough room. I may have to make new straps if I didn't anticipate well here, so we'll see what happens. No, well, there isn't enough room right there. I need to cut these a little bit longer, so ignore my earlier measurements. I thought I had anticipated, but I didn't do it. I'm not worried about the tear because it's going to get covered up. Give that a chance to sit. Getting a little bit of tear here, but it'll work out. So these were about I'd say at least a ½ an inch too short, but I want to make it a little bit. So these were so we're going to go to 4 3/4 on our new cuts. 4 3/4. Four and 3/4 by 1 1/2. And then I'm going to score at 1 at 1/2 and then at 5/8. Scoring at 1/2 and scoring at 5/8. Going to reinforce those score lines. Which means, oh, good grief. Which means the pieces I cut are going to be too short, so I'm going to have to recut those. Boy, not quite sure how I got off by that much. So all of these little pieces are irrelevant. Well, that's almost just perfectly wide enough. I'm sorry, I'm going to use this little guy here. He's easier to play with. Just lost my pencil mark. Okay. Now I need to cut 2 more pieces for the underside. So So I just need to trim these just a hair. The other one, I kind of like this on the top. Excuse me. Excuse my reach. I need to get my ink. I think I'm going to put the green on the underside. Because I like all this imagery here. Okay, so just set these aside for now. I think we'll be in better shape this time. Much better. I'm not sure why I cut those so short. I'm just kind of baffled, really. Because I do plenty of these. Oh, I almost sealed that. What a ding ding. That was a mistake. I won't do that again. Again, I'm pushing forward on the .5/8 score line. Much better. Much better. Okay. Now I should have plenty of room. Beautiful. Now where'd the other set of magnets go? All right, that's fine. I'll find them. They're probably stuck onto something somewhere. Okay, so I am going to put, except I think I need to shave a little bit off of that. Excuse me, I need to get some water. Just a moment. I apologize. I'm still battling with a bad bout of hay fever. Any better. I cannot see. Brown on brown, I cannot see it. There we go. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. I'm still looking for that set of magnets. I'm trying to figure out what I did with them. They took off. I went on a walkabout. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue these in, because if I have to redo the tags, I'll just tear them apart. It's no big deal. Normally I tape wherever there's a magnet. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and tape these into place here. Okay. Start right here on the very edge. Okay, and then we're going to tape up this side. Oh, I found my magnets. They're right there. I knew they had to be here someplace. So I'm just figuring they attached themselves. So while I'm doing my thing, I'm thinking, what did I have here that they could have hitched a ride on. Too funny. Okay. All right. Now, from my floral stash, I am going to add a couple of... Oh, what happened there? Well, nothing a little glue won't work on. Or is it a right side? There we go. And, oh, boy, that just slid right off there. And then the trinkets. There's a kitty cat and a puppy dog. And I am just going to lay them in here like so. Get out the old glossy accents. Nice flat surfaces on at least the kitty cat. What about the puppy dog? Yep, puppy dog. Well, it's not flat, but at least there's not a lot of gullies. He's kind of round and molded on both sides. And I did snip off the ring opening on both of those. Now, you should have plenty of scraps. We're gonna cover the ends of the waterfalls. You're gonna cut 10 or 8 half-inch strips of whatever leftover scraps that you find appealing. Frankly, I didn't have a lot, so I went and got into the 6x6 sheets and found this lattice panel, and that's what I'm using to cover the ends. I want to add some color there. And I think I'm going about this the wrong way. I'm going to start at the end. It's difficult to see when you're much easier to see the edge doing it this way. And I'm leaving just a hair of brown cardstock showing on the ends. I'm not covering it completely. I like the accent that it gives you there. Okay. here. I like the lattice look on this. I think it is really pretty. All right, now if you wish, if you want to, you can cut 8 3/8 of an inch strip and cover these gussets so that you have a break between the colors. I think I might come back and do that, but I'm not totally convinced yet that I'm going to. So I am ready to go ahead. Oh, I forgot the butterflies. Let's put the butterfly over there, and let's put a butterfly over here. Have him land on that poppy. And then that's a poppy right there as well. My antennae are a little wiggly. They're so thin and hard to cut around that I end up just leaving them cut into a V shape with some white showing. It's not too standoffish, but I can't have a butterfly without its antenna. All right, let's get some tape added on here so that we can get it in our album, and then we're going to do some finishing. Now I have plenty of the 6x6 left. I am going to take a weekend and make some cards out of them because they're just perfect images. All right. So we're going to go ahead now. What I did prior to videoing this, I did come in here and cover with this piece of paper because it was a 12 by 12. I covered these two. This is an easy measurement for you to cut in and put this in. This is going to take a little bit of angling to get this piece. So I'm going to leave it up to you whether you want to cover this piece or not. You may have chosen not to add these two panels, but I think that they are easy to trace and easy to cut and trim, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time on them. Now, we're going to go ahead and get this guy put in here. The back panel, front and back panels are always the easiest to work with. So I'm coming right up next to this gusset, and I should be right into that gusset. Okay. And peel that back just a little bit so I can get in here. Okay. Okay, now these 5/8 of an inch gusset, if you would cut, find any type of paper that you want to use, but you're going to cut a 1/2 inch wide strip by about 7 7/8, because this is an 8-inch album. And then we're just going to glue it in place, and this helps to absorb all that brown. I just think it cleans up the album a little bit. Getting glue on my fingers. And then I'm going to go back to the previous signature because I discovered that I had a problem, and I think I left off on that I would come back and explain to you if I fixed it or not. Your base panel should have been cut at 7.5 inches. By my not cutting it that short, what happened was that I ended up with the seam of my gusset right on top of the fold instead of it coming back a little bit, about 3/8 of an inch, so that there was room for it to fold over without it causing this big gap. So I will make notes in the video for this particular signature to cut it at about 7.5 inches. And then the rest of the measurements will have to be adjusted, unfortunately, accordingly. So, but I think this finished off rather pretty. And there you have it. That is your album. And I appreciate you hanging in there with me. And we'll see you on the next one.